Hello, my people. Thank you for joining us once again, and welcome to our channel, Bossman channel, where you learn, you love, and you live. I'm happy to be here once again. Thank you for all your feedback and your comments. We strive to make things better always. I have another interesting topic to discuss today, and interestingly, I will be focusing on people who are moving into a new country, especially getting started with job, with something to do. And having moved to Canada over 9 years ago, and being in a space where I mentor and train people on getting started and getting a job in Canada. I think it's something that I'm passionate about and I would like to speak to briefly. I always want a video to be straight to the point, sharp and simple. So I may not be able to cover everything in this video, but we can expatiate on some of those things, in much, later videos. But today I'll be talking more on job applications and interviews, to be specific. Now, when people move over to a new country, I've had a lot of people who I know that landed, and people we call from home, people, their family we call, and the first thing they want to know is if they've gotten something to do, if they've got a job to do. So apart from paying, being able to pay our bills and things like that, one of the first things I want to do when we come is getting a job. Now I will tell a quick story. When I finished my undergraduate degree back home in Nigeria, I needed a job, so I left my family, went to the economic hub of Nigeria, which is Lagos, and I was looking for a job. And this was a period where internet is not so common. So what we do back then is to buy Guardian newspaper when we can, borrow when we can. That's on Tuesday and on Thursday. And what I would do is to ensure that I send a minimum of 6 applications in a week. So even if I don't see what I qualify for, I will send 6 applications. And this means, write and written applications, photocopying CV, as we call it, and taking it to the post office to post. But sometimes I post up to 20 applications in a day, again, and written, or more in a week. Again, at this time, they will say if you don't know someone, you can't get a job. I didn't know anybody, but I knew that I have to do extra to get a job, and it yielded a result at some point, So when I moved over to Canada, I just told myself, what worked in the past, I know it can work now again. So for me, it was like the number of applications I send will determine the number of interview calls I get, and maybe the number of reference check, and the and probability of getting a job. So when I get to start mentoring people and coaching people and training people, sometimes I see them down. People will tell me, oh, I sent out my resume and I'm not getting a job, and I'll ask them, how many have you sent out? Sometimes they will say, oh, I've sent 5. I will say, they will say I've sent 10, and I will laugh because that is not enough. Like they say, looking for a job is a job in itself. So I always share my story with them and say, you need to send out more. And a lot of time we get results, a lot of them will come back and say, oh, I'm getting more interview calls. So the first thing is that getting a job is a job in itself. You need to be ready to send out your applications. And one thing you need to know is that the way things are done in different countries, especially in Nigeria where we came from, is different from the way things are done here. You notice I call it CV back in Nigeria. Here it's called resume. So all this lingo, you have to know it so that you don't go for interviews or have a chat and speak to what they don't understand. So we call it resume. And cover letter is very important here. So the first thing is to learn how to prepare your resume. There are terminologies, there are positions, there are job titles that may be common in your country that may not be common here. For example, we use operations manager a lot, for banking in Nigeria. When you put operations manager here in your resume, they may think you should be in a manufacturing firm and you're applying to a bank, because the way they understand this is different from the way we use them back home. So you need to know how to prepare your resume. If you need to hire people, if you need to consult people, consult your friends, speak to a mentor. This is very, very, very important. So that's the first thing that I would say, okay, we need, seriously to work on. Now, you've sent out your resume, they've called you for interview. What are the things that you need to look for? I always tell people, it may come in terms of, phone call. Even if it's a phone interview, comport yourself as if you are doing face-to-face interview. Smile if you can on the phone. There's a way that it connects, with your interviewer. There is a way that it gives you confidence. If you think best on your feet, if you are doing a phone interview and it's not video, if you can walk around, you need to put in your best, even to phone interview, to get to the next stage. Now, if it is face-to-face interview, either is online, virtual, or is face-to-face, is in office. There are things that you need to look at. I always tell people, dress the best you can. I've spoken with people, they will say, okay, I don't have blazer and I can't buy it. No, if you need to invest in the way you look, it is very important, First impression matters most, So the way you walk in, the way you comport yourself, the way you shake hands is very important. And I always also tell people, learn what we call small talk. Don't go to an interview. I know when we go to interviews in Nigeria, you're probably putting your hands on your back and respecting your interviewer. Here, they are looking for people who will be like their buddies, their friends, So be ready to go and have conversations. Step in, talk about the weather, talk about your drive to where you are doing the interviews, talk about weekends, your vacation if you can. You need something, like an icebreaker. You need something to connect with an interviewer. In fact, there was a research that was done, actually a survey, and it shows that, over 90% or thereabout of interviewers says that they know who they will hire within the first, 90 seconds of meeting the candidates. How we don't know if they want to hire someone within 90 seconds is because of the first impression, and it matters a lot, Don't forget eye contact. If you have eye contact in some part of the world, they see it as disrespect. If you don't have eye contact here, they see you as either not being honest or not being confident. So eye contact is very important. I mean, very important. You just have to, these are some things that you just have to get yourself comfortable with. You need to familiarize yourself with your resume and your cover letter and the job descriptions. In most cases, the interviews will not go past your resume and the job description. So know it very well. One thing that I would say is this: know about the company. Know about the company. There was a time I applied to a particular place and they just gave me a phone call, and the first thing they asked me, that was when I just came, was to tell them about what I know about the company. I didn't know anything because I didn't research it. And it was a bit difficult for me, and I didn't move forward. And that was a lesson to me. And I've also noticed that there are some places where you speak glowingly about the company, about their values, about their what they do, and then that would be like, the icing on the cake, where you hit the nail on the head, and they will say, okay, we want to work with this person because he has passion for the organization already. You need to practice how to smile. Don't say that I don't like smiling or I don't know how to smile. Please, smile through your interview. Let them know that, they are hiring someone who is coming with a positive attitude, who can be a great company, in the office. So, learn to smile as much as possible. Sometimes you may feel anxious, and this is where we always say you can practice the breathing technique. Everyone feels anxious when they are going for an interview. Breathe in, breathe out as you are getting into the interview. But like I said, learn to smile. Make the interview a conversation. Don't let it be a one-way thing. They're asking you questions, you're just responding. You can ask them questions. Let it be a conversation. Let them know that they're hiring someone who they can have conversation with when they get into when the person get hired. When you get to the end of the interview, always remember to ask good questions. Prepare good questions. Don't go for an interview and when they get to the end, they ask you, do you have any questions? And you say, no, I don't have. Look for very good questions, around the project they are working on, about their organization, about the teams you'll be working with. There are many good questions that you show that you have interest in that particular organization. I always advise people as well, when you finish the interview, send a thank you note immediately. It goes a long way. And if you don't hear from them for a particular period, send a follow-up email. I have a friend who the thank you email and the follow-up email did the magic, So don't forget to do this. And I'm sure as you move into a new country, as you come into Canada or any part of the world, you get settled in no time. You get a job that you desire. You get a job that will not only feed your family, but that will make you thrive. So these are some little talk about, moving to a new country, getting a job, and, going through your interview. Like I said, we can talk more on any of this topic in future videos, but let's get going with this. Till we meet next time, keep doing great things. Thank you.